This is John Pora. I'm coming to you from Tokyo, Japan. Today I'm going to this article by the fantastic, excellent website, just kidding, the SJW Feminist website, the Mary Sue. Now, they actually are very excited about Headland, who is Harvey Weinstein's personal assistant, or was, I should say, who is rumored to be writing a Star Wars series for Disney+. Now, the thing is this. Of course, every article, they have to put down males and white males specifically. So when they do that, I can't take anything they say seriously. Let's see what happens. Truly, I have never been more excited about a rumor in my life. Russian Doll co-creator and the brilliant screenwriter of both Bachelorette and Sleeping with People, Leslye Headland, is said to be heading up her own Star Wars series for Disney+. I'm sure it's going to be incredible. I'm sure it's going to sell a bunch, and I'm sure the fans on all sides are going to love it. Coming from sources close to Variety, there is not yet news as to what the series will be or who else is involved. Variety hasn't received official confirmation on the rumor, but they seem pretty confident in running the news as an exclusive. The idea that Headland would write and serve as a showrunner for the series is important for the Star Wars universe. Why? It seems like it's terrible for the Star Wars universe. A, it has nothing to do with the characters, the stories, and things like that. And B, the fan base is torn apart, and we don't like people like her. At least 60 to 70% of us don't. Prior to this announcement, nearly all head writers for Star Wars franchises have been men, and who cares? You know what? If 100 men wrote Star Wars for the next 100 years, and they were good stories that had blood, sweat, and tears put in them, and people loved them, it wouldn't matter who wrote them. And by the way, just as a little bit of a newsflash, Star Wars was created by a man. So without a man, we wouldn't have Star Wars. Just saying, for what that's worth. Star Wars has made some progress with their directors in the Disney Plus series, which says something since the movie's directors are all still incredibly male and incredibly white. They have to use stupid, retarded language like that. So, how male am I? And how white am I? Well, actually, I'm not that white. I'm in Japan. My kids are half Japanese. I'm never going back to the States. So I don't even qualify as like that white if they want to get into this incredibly white thing. But what is incredibly white anyway? Doesn't make sense. But on one hand, I am incredibly white because I'm very white. And I grew up in a white neighborhood. But now I'm in Japan, so it's so confusing. There's nothing. It's nothing. Incredibly male? Yes, I am incredibly male. I like women, I like sexy women, and I like to say it because of people like this who keep putting down men. But the head writers have consistently been men. Ushering in a woman-led show and actually having a female head writer, this would be groundbreaking for the franchise. And I have to tell you something, without articles like this and Kathleen Kennedy and all the bullshit going on, I wouldn't think of the gender of the writer. And if there happened to be a woman coming on Star Wars, I'd be like, oh yeah, this is great, this is different, this is refreshing. But since they shove it down our throats and they have to take some kind of like this cheerleading type attitude about it, it makes me think. It makes me have to defend men and get into these things I'd rather not get into, which is why it took the fun out of Star Wars for like I said, 70% of the fan base. And by the way, for a lot of the women too. It's not just dudes like me complaining. To be honest, it's a bit sad that it has taken this long when Star Wars has been around since the late 70s. With this rumor, I hope it means that we'll start to see a consistent change in not just Star Wars, but in other massive properties as well. I'm also excited that Star Wars isn't relying on the same pool of writers for their Disney Plus programming, but appear to be going in new creative directions, which is worse directions than ever before since they pretty much ruined the franchise. Headland's Russian Doll on Netflix was one of our favorite shows of the year, as well as endlessly innovative and bold. I haven't seen it. I can't say. I did hear from my good friend Doomcock. He could not sit through the show. He said not because it was woke, not because it was feminist, because it was just kind of a bad show with bad acting, and the lead character was very hard to relate to. Anyway, you guys let me know down below what you think of this. And I gotta say one more time, I wish we lived in a world where the Disney trilogy of Star Wars was acceptable. It was at least acceptable. You know, maybe we didn't love it, maybe like the prequels, they got the flavor wrong, they got the execution wrong, but at the core, it was Star Wars. Luke was Luke. Han went out with honor, things like that. We didn't have some Mary Sue Ray to ruin the day. We didn't have emo Kylo. We didn't have Finn being such a waste. I could go on forever. If it was just like halfway decent where we could at least add it to the collection and watch it along with the other ones, we wouldn't have all this stuff going on. So, like I said, on this channel, I will be covering Star Wars in a way. I'm not actually going to be talking about characters, how good the movies are, if the shows are good or not. I'm just going to be on these people and calling out why they are borderline racist and not a good fit for Star Wars and how it traditionally was. If you're not subscribed here, consider subscribing. I'm doing shoutouts, special thanks, things like that. Following Depth vs. Herd, some Marvel sometimes, similar to Star Wars where I'm calling out their politics, and I talk too much at the end sometimes, but I gotta tell you something. The end of a video is not as important as the beginning, because the beginning was a lot better than this, I think. Okay, we're done. See you next time.
Central Parkway in the